booties for black girl nerds.
Hello there. How are you doing today, sir?
Hello, doing good. Hi, Jeandra. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time today.
It's been a pleasure today. Thank you.
By the time our audience sees this, episode 4 will have aired. And I would just want to start with, oh, President Ritson's in the car. He's hanging upside down. And I just want to know, first off, the day of shooting a scene like that where you're spending so much time hanging upside down doesn't look comfortable. Great for the storytelling, but it looks very taxing. So what's the anatomy of shooting something like that specifically?
Wonderful. They prepared me. I knew what I was in for. In fact, I have to dress with a harness under the clothes. So then I get on the set, and I'm only arriving on that set once they've already blown everything up. The place is mayhem. Burned out helicopter on its side, and the cars are flipped over, and there's craters on the ground and all burnt out. So they walk me in to an upside down car, and somehow I get my butt in there, scoot up, scoot back, get over, and they latch me in so that when we're ready to shoot, I am literally suspended as if the president is held by a seatbelt in an inverted car. The other key shot in that sequence and there's multiple shots that get me out of that. I love that Nick Fury, even though he's a superhero, isn't able to save the president. Even that little part of it's cool. There's no superpower that the glass, that the bulletproof glass. So he asked Talos to do it for him, which confuses everybody in the storyline. So it's a key thing within this incredible action sequence. But they also built a machine and put me in a car and flips it over while I'm suspended by harness in a car body. I'm tumbling like a clothes dryer. So that shot, if you ever see it again, is in there too, where I'm going end over end.
That element of storytelling will never get old to me. I mean, I love to know how those things even take place.
Yes.
You know, we hear lots of stories of like, oh yeah, we were on set for like 38 hours straight and we shot it from this angle and this angle. And so all those kind of things are
Well,
always
that particular set was so interesting because it was a whole different day. They built it on a soundstage, but they had affixed everything safe in the car, including the cameras are triple strapped on and everything. They've tested it with stuntmen and so forth. So it's completely safe, but it is just a whole amazing invention. It's called a gimbal, but they have to tailor make it every time. And it's huge. It's bigger than, as big as a room. Standing in a studio stage. So incredible experience and that's just one element of that
one.
incredible action sequence that I think will really stand as one of the great attack sequences in Marvel.
That was awesome. Well, I appreciate everybody's hard work for that.
Yeah,
So
me
now
too.
we have a Secret Invasion. We get to dive deeper into characters that we love, a little darker, a little bit more serious in tone than some of the other Marvel entities that we have seen over the years. So as a longtime participant in all of these stories, how does this darker sort of storytelling inform President Ritson? Does it change your approach to how you want to convey him on screen?
Well, I knew that President Ritson is a piece of a puzzle that's way beyond my comprehension, that being the multiverse of the whole Marvel universe. So to hack that whole thing wasn't going to happen anyway. So I really laid my trust and my faith in the director, Ali Salim, who knows precisely how this character fits into that bigger world. And I just felt great confidence that this sort of hard-edged but grounded, real president type that I was being asked to play was the right way to go, so that it causes that kind of friction even in the Marvel viewers, where we're trying to figure out not just which world or which universe you're in, but what type is it this time? And I think Secret Invasion does such a great job of describing its own, carving out its own feel within the Marvel shows that I've seen in the movies, which takes on the form of a more like intriguing, more thriller, even though it's got this world-class action sequence, great fights, but this action sequence in episode 4, it still holds it on Earth. And yeah, I just love that aspect of this show, that it has that kind of tension too.
When you get on the side of, on this side of it, of the Marvel universe, as after being part of so many directions, timelines, universes, and things that have been happening within, are there moments where you look and go, huh, interesting choice, given knowing such a long history of Ritson? Does anything surprise you at this point in the direction that the character goes?
No, I wish I was a little better informed. I even found out only today that Ritson has been mentioned previously in other films. So that at least would give me a better idea. I'll have to research this on the computer, an idea of when Ritson was elected, because of course, unless we repeal the amendment that says you can only serve 2 terms, I think the clock's ticking for Ritson. I'm not sure. But yeah, I had to just not know some of that stuff. And frankly, I didn't see the entirety of any of the 6 scripts. I was only seeing scenes that I was in. So I was missing a lot of context, and thereby I even more so had to just put my faith in the director. Thank God it was Lee Salim who had the whole thing organized in his mind in such a great way, so beautifully designed and shot.
I'm always impressed by the fandom. I'm a fan of the films, but some people take such deep dives, and like you mentioned, him being elected and how
Yeah.
much time. Some people take a really, really deep and really kind of string together some of these theories. Do you go and look up
Well,
theories?
I'm hoping that's happening with Ritson, and it's so intensely popular a character, and everybody's, do they still have blogs? Is that a thing? And they're all blogging about it and sending it to the studios. Maybe that's happening on the ground. Maybe there's a groundswell popularity quotient that'll keep President Ritson in the Marvel universe. Let's hope.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a critical character. The president is always charged with balancing the needs of many versus the needs of a few. Is that still an obstacle for him in this series? The needs of many and the needs of few, because there's a lot of Skrulls, there's a lot of people, but there's a lot of them too.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what he's trying to balance. And, like any politician, probably be at least damaged by it as possible, put on that diplomatic front. He's getting off the plane, but before he can even get to the conference room for the peace summit, his motorcade's attacked. So any plan that he had goes out the window. And then he too begins to realize that he doesn't know who he can rely on, and even his own inner circle are turning up Skrull. So yeah, it's a pretty challenging, unexpected role that he finds himself in. So sort of to circle back to your question, in that regard, it's a character who didn't know this was going to happen to him. So that's part of your thinking when you're performing these scenes. It was helpful that there was a lot that I didn't know in the Marvel universe, so that they play really clean and real.
Yeah, I'd rather not know either, because I'd be too jaded. Well, they are wrapping me. Thank you so much for your time. I
Okay.
appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of the season. I can't wait to see the discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy. Thanks.
So much, Jeandra LeBeauf, Black Girl Nerds. Thank you, Charlayne, for your time. I appreciate it.
Sure. Sure. I love the title, Black Girl Nerds.
Yeah, we hanging in here. We hanging strong. We have to represent for all the young Black girls who enjoy sci-fi and shows like this, and just want to embrace that nerddom. So it is a pleasure for us to be with you.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
I am so intrigued by Priscilla. She is a new character to us, to this universe, and I love when new people are brought into the mix to further challenge what we think we know about these characters. So with Priscilla being brought in with Nick Fury, we have learned by the time our viewers see this, episode 4 will have aired, and a lot of great stuff has been happening with your character. So for you with Priscilla, how would you describe their their relationship. It's clear they've been apart because he's been off doing Avenger type of things and work. What do you think that Priscilla provides for Nick in a way that the other people in his life can't?
Well, it's pretty obvious that when the going gets very tough, he has a place to go. You know, because as you saw, when it got really tough and Maria Hill was killed, he had to go home. And so she has provided a home for him, a safe haven is what it is. And our entire relationship has been on trust. He was my boss. I worked for him, you know, and but then he disappeared. And that disappearance changes everything. It is actually this, you know, I'm used to him coming and going, but that business of leaving me for 3 years. And after the promise, he made a promise. And a relationship that's based on trust, and you make a promise, I'm going to find a home for you and for your people. It looked like he might never come back. So now what you have is a relationship that's far more complicated than it ever was. And it always was complicated because he married a Skrull.
I love how intriguing this gets. Let me shift a little bit for just even playing alongside Samuel L. Jackson. Do we have to call him by his full name, Samuel L. Jackson? When we work alongside him, we have to get all of the letters in, but just that experience working with him, the chemistry between the two of you are beautiful. You can tell when the direction of the conversations between Priscilla and Nick are, when they're a little aloof, when they're a little loving. There's just so many beautiful layers into the way you guys play opposite each other. So if you could talk a little bit about working with Samuel.
Well, this is my 3rd time working with Sam.
Mm-hmm.
I played his mom twice, once in Unbreakable, and I played his mother young with him as a little boy. And then in Glass, I played his mother years later, older, and I never look like myself when I'm working with Sam. And that's what made this, one of the things that made this an extraordinary experience. Because once again, I'm working with a friend, I'm working with Sam, and I get to look like myself for a while. You know, I'm very Skrull-like, you know, I want to be in my own body as an actor. So, but it's great working with him because he comes to play, and we're called the players. You know, he comes to play, and I'm used to the way he plays because there's a way Samuel L. Jackson plays. You know, he comes ready to play, and then we just sink in. We just, you know, and we don't work 85 takes and all that business. We just get in and get out.
I love that. What is your favorite thing about Priscilla now that you get to be in your own skin, working opposite one of your favorite people to work with? What do you like about Priscilla, and what did you want to convey most about her to the audience?
I love that she has an arc, that she has a beginning, a middle, and that she has a past, a present, and we don't know what the future is going to be. But because she has a secret. So when you have a secret, you're pretty mysterious. And I love those kind of characters that are walking around with something. There's something underneath it all, you know? And there's something working underneath with her at all times, which makes it really interesting. And you have to wonder, how much does he know? He's quite all-knowing. But I wanted to make sure that she was simply a sister. She had embraced that woman whose body she'd taken over. She had embraced that. And when I first got this job, I was simply his wife and simply human. And then things changed.
Wow. Well, with that, I love when we as the audience know something that the other people in the room don't. So when you're conveying those differences from being just the wife, and now we find out that Priscilla's a Skrull, and there's something bubbling.
Possible assassin.
Possible assassin. We don't know what side Priscilla is on. We're we kind of find out maybe a little bit in episode 4, but things change and things shift. Is that your favorite type of role to do, that kind of aloof? We don't know who this character might be. We're still have to wait and find out.
I love complicated women. I love playing complicated women. I don't want that one thing, you just playing one note. Priscilla is many colors, and I love that. She could get hot mad, and then she could joke in the next sentence. She can flirt, and then she can zero in and maybe pass some secret information on to him, But I love that. I love that she really worked at who he would like. She worked at finding that person, because I think deep down she has fallen in love with an icon. He's going to save her people. We fall in love with the people in power, and it felt like he had power before he disappeared. But I love playing complicated women. I work in the theater. I'm a thespian in general, and I play I love to work with the new playwrights who come up with, the really risky choices.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And lastly, the scene, it's so beautiful in episode 4. It's almost like a standoff where Priscilla and Nick are kind of having a little standoff and putting all the cards on the table. What was the day like of shooting that scene?
That was a crazy day, I have to tell you, because that was the day that Alec Baldwin shot that woman on the set.
Oh, wow.
So we all came to work knowing that happened. Some people in the crew knew people in that crew. It was really something else. And there I was, both of us being handed a gun.
Oh, wow.
But our armorer was fabulous. He was like, okay, crack, here it is. Boom, there it goes. La-di-da, boom, bop. We went exactly by the numbers. Mm-hmm. But it was ironic that was the day that we sat across the table from each other.
Wow. Well, I thank you. They are wrapping me. This was a beautiful scene. I'm really enjoying your performances, and of course, seeing you opposite the great Samuel Jackson. I appreciate you talking to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you talking to me.
Take care.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.